And what about coping with the pressure? Because you're beginning to get quite a good reputation for a very good upcoming trainer, and you're starting to win some serious races now. And I know more people are wanting to get into put horses into you. Does there come a point? Two things: how do you cope with the pressure of, having to perform all the time, and how do you've obviously built a team around you. Do you get to a stage where you can take so many horses and after that it's just stop, or do you just keep expanding and growing? Come on.
That's getting completely edited out.
No, it's not.
Yes, it has been brilliant. Let's just finish on this. What has been the pinnacle of your career so far? Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Tweedl Pod. We are again at EJ Churchills, and again, apologies if you can hear banging in the background. That is Rob Fenwick lining his pockets of people shooting clays.
Don't apologise about people. That's 37p, that is, every time you hear a shot. Just remember that. Oh, there we go, look at that. Oh, and again. Bloody hell.
I wish my business was that easy.
Oh, says the racehorse trainer. Come on.
Yeah, we're obviously joined by a previous guest and good friend, Richard Crofts, and
by popular demand.
Oh yeah.
To his right, Christ, is Dan Skelton. Thanks for joining us, Dan. Horse trainer, obviously very, very well known in the horse training world. Had a few winners, haven't you, Cock?
No, it's been good. It's been all right. May's come round now, so there's a little bit less stress than there was in March and April, but.
You're all over the sticks, aren't you, Dan?
Yeah, our season just continues is what I was going to say. So it does calm down a bit May through to the end of September, but there is still summer jumping, which isn't as big and as sort of well supported, I suppose is the right word, as the winter game, because we are a predominantly winter game, but there's still plenty to be done. Really, the proper jump season is early October to the last Saturday in April. So the season ends last Saturday in April every year.
So this weather, we were chatting about the weather earlier, has this been good or has it just been so wet? It must be a nightmare.
It's been unprecedentedly wet. So we've had abandonments all year long, which you'd expect. Yeah. But what we've had is abandonments in March, April, and in fact early May. That we would never normally have. I mean, Newton Abbott has yet to race this season. They were due to race early March. It was their first meeting, and they've missed every one. I think they've maybe missed 4 or 5 now.
So that must have been a nightmare for the race course, because I mean they're a privately owned business, aren't they? I mean
they are. They're a small independent, so they're in particular trouble. But we're an outdoor sport. So you've got to deal with the weather. We deal with animals. You have to deal with injuries. You have to deal with problems. We're also an outdoor sport. You've got to deal with the weather. So, yes, whilst it's not ideal, it's not something that we don't know can happen. So you just got to roll with the punches.
But your gallops will all be sand, is it, I suppose, or what are they? All sort of various
all weather.
Artificial.
We do have grass gallops, but funnily enough, the grass gallops we at home have been the best they've ever been because it was fairly new lie. And we've rolled them and pushed them in as much as we could. And actually, having the weather that we've had this year has almost brought them to life for the first time. It's been that wet. It's saturated them, and it's actually opened the top in a weird way. But no, all the main gallops are all synthetic. They're either sand or a mixture of sand, fibre and wax. Did you know that since we've been sat here, you've earned £7.83?
Somebody's just come onto the closest stand to us. And if
you can go now. It's looked really good for the last 5 minutes. You can move to the next
36p a shot. I reckon £37 a shot. Probably. Oh, there's another 500.
Stop now. I'm now losing money. That's what it is. Do you know what I mean?
He's trying to kill the C and F bird, the Holy Grail.
That was hard, wasn't it?
That was hard.
You boys went for a shot before this,
didn't you? Yeah. And actually, Dan, you shot bloody well.
Well, thanks very much for saying that. Yeah, we're only 4 minutes into this podcast, and you brought that up, so I appreciate that. Thank you. I should ask what took you so long.
Just better than normal. That's what I thought.
But Dad, did you ever ride then?
Yeah, what is the back?
You're wondering now, aren't you?
No, I'm not. But, so when so family home was Yorkshire, wasn't it?
No.
Where was home? Where was?
I was born in Solihull.
Yeah. Okay.
And my dad always lived round. Well, he still lives. He's lived in the Midlands all his life.
Right. Okay.
Just outside of Kenilworth.
Yeah.
Originally, originally Bedworth, and then he moved just outside of Kenilworth, and we now live near Ulster, Alcstr, not Ulster, in Warwickshire, and
that's Alcester.
Alcester. And yeah, of course, he was a show jumper.
Yeah.
So yeah, you
Hang on,
short.
not just any show jumper for a few for the younger people here going, just a show jumper, an Olympic gold medalist show jumper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean
Yeah.
probably one of the greatest show jumpers of all time.
Yeah, it's not even that
was.
long ago, is it?
He was pretty good. He was pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
2012 he won team gold in London, and then 2016 individual in Rio,
Yeah.
and then he gave up. I
Was there a
think
documentary
2017.
not so long ago? I saw a documentary about it, or was it might be on the plane or something, looking at something. I remember seeing a documentary
Yeah, they've done-
about your dad.
there's been a few bits and pieces. I do think there's one going to be coming out that's a bit more sort of documentary style,
Yeah.
life on his life
Yeah.
from the start. Which he came from very unusual beginnings for somebody who rides. His my grandfather, who's still alive, 94. He's a chemist, and back in them days, obviously, there wasn't the leisure facilities like you've got nowadays, and everyone used to go to the gymkhanas and have ponies and everything else. And then he started going and doing that because that was what all their friends did.
Yeah.
And he just took it bit by bit, and then he went and trained with Ted Edgar, and then obviously set up by himself. And we show jumped, me and my brother Harry, we show jumped when we were young, but we were never good enough, really.
Right.
Well, I say we were never good enough. Harry probably would have been.
Yeah.
He wasn't at the time because he didn't have Harry hadn't graduated past the ponies into horses, but we just love racing. I certainly wasn't good enough.
Does Dad love racing?
Loves it, yeah.
All right. Okay.
He had horses with David Nicholson years
Yeah.
ago, race horses with David Nicholson, actually. Look, we've always loved horses. We're always going to be involved in
Yeah.
horses. I tried to go to university, hated every second of it, and went back to horses.
Right.
So horses were always going to be a part of our life. And then the racing was just it wasn't exactly a new avenue for us, but it was an exciting avenue, something we hadn't done before, something that Harry had a massive passion for because he was light and really wanted to be a jockey.
Yeah.
And I was very interested in training them. So we just went down that road
And set up together?
well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I was going to say in a fashion, but no, not even in a fashion. Yeah, completely set up together. It's the place at home is half mine, half Dad's.
Yeah.
And Harry's got his place just away from the yard, which we also have horses at. So we're all in it together.
Yeah.
It's a big old area, though. I was lucky enough to go and have a look round with Dan last year or the year before, and it is a huge area. Even Harry's is sort of pretty. It's all pretty local, isn't it? With horses everywhere, facilities like you wouldn't believe. I mean, we'll probably come on to that. But
where did you learn everything? Because I come from Malton in North Yorkshire, so of course it's riddled with stables, and used to go in with Malcolm Jefferson and people like that and ride out with all. I was from a pony family, hunting family, but where did you learn the craft of training horses? Did you?
I went and worked for Paul Nicholls for
Right, okay.
nearly 10 years
Yeah.
in
so
Somerset.
a great background.
Yeah. Learned a bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
just beating him there now, haven't you?
I know,
In the championship.
Yeah, I did. I beat him in the trainer championship this year, but I still only finished second. So
It all looked so good, didn't it?
for a moment, yeah. And then Willie Mullins joined in, which was
So it came
Not
down to the
ideal.
last few races, didn't it?
yeah. Actually, he actually hadn't won the trainers championship unusually until I think the third or fourth last race of the whole season. So
Wow.
it came down to
How does that work, the Trainers' Championship?
prize money. Prize
okay.
money. So it's cumulative what you win over the 12-month period. The person who wins the most prize money is champion trainer. The jockey is actually done on number of wins.
Well,
So the jockey is rewarded literally for the time they put into driving everywhere, riding horses. And more than likely, the winning most jockey is the one who probably has the most rides.
Yeah.
There will be historical occasions when that's not the case, but there won't be a massive difference in the number of rides a winner has in that instance compared to a second or a third. So
has Willie Mullins won the Trainers' Championship
he
this
did
time? What was his prize money?
just over 3 million.
Jesus Christ.
But he didn't have many wins. He
Oh, he did. He had a few. He had the ones that counted. He won the Champion Hurdle, the Gold Cup, and the Grand National, plus a few others, big ones.
No, but in total, I mean, like...
Oh, yeah,
By
just
the way,
those-
we're not promoting Willie Mullins here.
just those inconspicuous, those little races.
This is Dan Skelton.
It's mate, I've had enough of all that. Can we move on?
This is about Dan Skelton
Yeah.
only, okay?
Tormented my life for 6 weeks.
And how about your brother? So your brother rides a lot of your horses. Does he? you obviously use other people as well. How does that balance work? Do you?
Harry rides them all. That's his job is to ride them all, and then what he can't ride, we have to work out who suits them best or who might be available. Obviously, Harry gets a ban or an injury or whatever. You have to have a good team of jockeys to be able to carry out the big days, because ultimately, as a trainer, you can prepare them and put them in the right race and get them to the races, and once you let go of them and they go out onto the race course, that's it. You can't do any. You got no bearing on what happens then.
And what about coping with the pressure? Because you're beginning to get quite a good reputation for a very good upcoming trainer, and you're starting to win some serious races now. And I know more people are wanting to get into put horses into you. Does there come a point? Two things. How do you cope with the pressure of, having to perform all the time? And how do you've obviously built a team around you. Do you get to a stage where you can take so many horses and after that it's just stop, or do you just keep expanding and growing?
I do think there is a point of saturation.
Yeah.
I'm yet to sort of find that point, because we've all, ever since we started 11 years ago, we've always been growing.
Yeah.
The numbers have been growing, the place has been getting bigger. Like Richard says, that the facilities have always improved, and that's the one thing that you have to maintain and push is the facilities. And we pride ourselves on saying that you might not like us, you might think our results could be better, but if you come and see us, you won't go away from that yard thinking, well, my horse won't have the best of what is available. So we're always striving to get better from that perspective, and because of that, you're always staffing yourself the best you can. And ultimately, any business comes down to the people within it. Yeah. And we've got a really good core team of staff that know how to carry out the day-to-day duties, how to get the best out of the horses, how to communicate with the owners, and it just really, really works. So, there is a point at which you go, okay, that's probably enough, but at the same time, it is a numbers game to some degree.
Yeah.
And you of course, you find quality racehorses by going and sourcing them from quality sellers and picking and choosing your right horses. But the great thing about our sport is you can still find a diamond in the rough.
Can you?
Yeah. You can still go and you could buy 20 out of a field and find that there's one in there.
And does Dad get involved with the sort of looking for new horses? I mean, he's obviously got an eye for it, like you and your brother. I mean, it's quite a trio, isn't it? When you're going looking for a horse and you've got that trio looking. I mean, you're like, holy cow.
He does. He loves it. He loves it. And unfortunately, he can't spend as much time as we'd like him to, or perhaps he'd like to, because he's still working.
Yeah.
He's not jumping himself anymore, but he's training a lot, and he's got his own thing to get on with, and it works well because he's advisory rather than poking his nose in.
Yeah.
You never feel like
he knows you're capable.
Yeah. You never feel like he never questions you in like a questioning way.
No.
He might offer some advice, or he might give advice when it's asked for, but Dad's not a pushy person on to, why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? He's not like that at all.
And is it all word of mouth I mean, obviously when you perform on the track, do people then start knocking on the door going, hey, Dan, can I put horses?
It's ultimately results based.
Yeah.
We are a results based industry, and I maintain that throughout all. Yes, we are in the entertainment business as well, because people want to have a good time.
Yeah.
But just because you look after people really well, if your horse goes and pulls up 3 times in a row, it's going to become less fun.
Yeah.
You might get the best of everything, but if your horse doesn't
start going, what's going on here?
If your horse doesn't perform, and at the same time, you shouldn't allow performance to paper over any cracks that you might have in your system where you're not looking after people well. So it's the complete package.
Yeah.
And what is it? You said you find a diamond in a rough every now and again. What is it you look for in a horse? And what sort of age are you buying them in at?
The most important thing is to buy an athlete.
Yeah.
You've
like
got
Crofty.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, that would be. That's exactly.
I've seen this lad prance across a grouse moor. You cannot believe. He barely touches the heather. He floats.
That's what you're looking for in a horse.
And that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Quite right.
He doesn't even ruffle the heather.
He'd
That's
pull
what
a
you're looking
calf.
for.
Doesn't even ruffle the hair. And when the grouse come to him, my goodness me.
In his element. A man in his element.
Out the back door as they came in the front door. Yeah. We actually we shot grouse a few times together, Dan and I, and first time I ever shot with him, he romped across the moor with his rucksack on, and off he went, his drink and bits and pieces, and had a lovely drive. He came back, I said to him, how do you get on there? Any good? Enough for a curry, he says. Whatever that means. Mate. Yeah, he had a few.
That's a wing.
Love that, yeah.
Curry for one or two.
And so you love your shooting as well, do you?
I do, and I started shooting years ago, shooting clays with friends and sort of just having socially really, and then got into taking a few days here and there again with friends and finding different parts of the world and a bit adventurous, different parts of the UK.
Yeah.
And I just love it. I love the sport of it. I love being around the people. I love the fact that everyone there understands what's going on, the countryside element of it. And a lot of the times you go shooting, you go onto properties that you'd never normally be allowed on.
Amazing.
And you see things, you see bits and pieces and how someone might manage some land, or you might see, like, there's nothing like a grouse moor.
No.
You know, when you get there
Is that your pinnacle? Is that what you would love? If
I
could
love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
I'd like it.
But when you
I
shoot
love
quite
that.
well, you are quite vocal with it as well, aren't you? Like
I probably am one of those people that lets you know that I'm enjoying
everyone
it.
to enjoy it with you, don't you?
Yeah.
I've got a client that does an Indian chant when he starts shooting well. Honestly, he's a cool dude. He starts going, hi, like that, and the whole place can hear this like Indian chant. It's hilarious. And I've been at some very smart places with him, and he does it everywhere. And it's just like, I think it's
I think it was
brilliant.
one of your first proper days in Wales. We were shooting at Gregonog up at Bettis there, and I was hosting, and we were shooting some pheasants out of Glambacken Wood. You may have shot there.
Yeah.
And this sort of floating, unbelievably high wild duck came over, and obviously Dan puts the gun up, and everyone's like, not a chance, you know. And he absolutely smokes it. And of course, out comes the chant. Yeah. And then the ongoing joke is now, has that duck landed yet? Is it hit the ground yet?
Every time he sees it.
We're going back in July to see it land.
But there must be there's obviously, I mean, there's a lot of similarity between racehorse and shooting, isn't there? I mean, it's
A lot of people.
There's a massive crossover. There's a lot of people doing it. A lot of trainers sort of have gotten into it, or were always into it. It goes hand in glove really with the countryside aspect of what we all enjoy. And I'm not saying if you're a trainer you should enjoy shooting, and I'm not saying if you enjoy shooting you'll love racing, but there's that countryside element of it that you know, people that are doing it understand it.
and it's outside, isn't
There'll be
it?
a lot
It
of
is.
owners as well. I imagine you have little shoot.
Yeah, a lot of owners, the old school, you know, they love to go shooting some grouse in the autumn, and then go racing, and obviously there's a lot of meetings that tie in well with that season, and then of course the pheasants get a bit stronger, and then they go and shoot some pheasants, you know, over the later season, and then Cheltenham comes round to go racing again. So
It's unbelievable, Cheltenham.
you actually think
Some calendar that, isn't it?
you actually think about it.
Bit of grouse, bit of race.
Exactly. That you think about how the old-fashioned sports are in the calendar, how they fit.
Yeah.
They actually all fit around each other.
Yeah.
It's as
And
if
for a very good reason.
it's as if a load of people got around a table some 100 and something
Yeah, you
years ago, and
probably
right,
did.
how
And
do we
these
make
months
all
will do
these
that.
fit?
Yeah. And that just leaves, February. That's
Skiing.
which we'll go skiing. Yeah, of course.
Skiing.
With a couple of weeks on the spay if there is any time.
And where do you like shooting grouse?
Anywhere I'm lucky enough to get invited, I have to say.
Yeah.
Any grouse moor owners out there? I'm available for the second half of August, a little bit of September.
Have you come
In
across
return, I'll
Richard
give you
Calvin
half a
Hughes?
hoof.
Have I come across Richard Calvin Hughes? Richard Calvin Hughes is one of my longest standing owners.
I thought he would be.
Top man.
Yeah, he's a brilliant. He's great friends with Sir Edward. Yeah, they're
knows
best friends.
knows the countryside inside out.
Yeah.
Had some good horses with us. Continues to have good horses with us. Has a breeding program that not many people would really know about with the horses actually. And he just gets it. You know, and he takes the rough with the smooth. You know, grouse shooting and racehorses have one very big similarity, is that when things don't go well, it's off.
Yeah.
You know, and with a horse, if he gets an injury, it's off.
Yeah.
You know, the grouse moors, they get bad weather, it's off.
Yeah.
So there's a certain element of these, animals put manners on you.
Yeah.
It's not they're not machines. You can't just turn the key and off the engine goes. You've got to be respectful of things, and sort of the more I'm around people like that and around industries like the ones we're talking about, the more you realise that actually you got to give a little bit. You can't just be taking all the time.
It's a good point you mentioned. Like, you'll have quite a lot of people, high-profile owners as well in your portfolio, but meeting those sort of people that have a budget to be a horse owner, they're fairly well-to-do people, aren't they? But they still want the results, and that's on you, isn't it? It's on your shoulders, I suppose.
But pressure is a luxury. Expectation is a luxury, and as long as you maintain standards and you're pushing to get the best, people understand that. They understand that no matter how hard you try, you might try and put the best days on, the best day shooting you can. You might try and have the perfect race planned and everything else.
Something
doesn't click.
Yeah.
It's not your day. It's not the day that it's supposed to be. So you have to accept that.
So going on to Cheltenham this year, I mean, you had a seriously special Cheltenham, Dan. I mean, to get all those horses there, but also to win out the 4 of 8 runners, I think you had, did you?
A bit more
than 8, but we did have 4 winners, which was remarkable.
And what is it like if you can get a horse to that level and actually have a winner at the festival, not just 1 but 4 winners? How does that feel? I mean, that must be just insane.
Oh, it's brilliant. And the thing is when we had those winners, I was sort of trying to explain to everybody that it's highly unusual, but that's actually what you plan to do. As daft as it sounds, you actually plan to go there and have that many winners. It's just it never normally happens.
Yeah.
Everybody is actually trying to win.
Yeah.
So you probably shouldn't be surprised when it happens, but of course you are surprised because you're doing it, especially at that level, at such a high level. And for it to all come together at once was just remarkable, and just shows you the effort that the team put in. I can only put the horse in that race and recommend this and do that and keep the system going, and the staff are the ones that are actually carrying out the necessities.
Did your brother ride all 4?
Yes, he did.
Did he?
Yeah.
How amazing.
It was brilliant to watch that.
Yeah.
And in between each race, obviously on the TV you see the race, and then you see you cheering away after you've won it. In between each race, what are you doing behind the scenes with your jockey? Are you planning how to run the race, when to give it beans, when not to give it beans? What does that look like?
You just leave that to the jockey, to be honest with you.
Is that because he's your brother? If he wasn't your
Well,
brother...
there is a massive element of trust.
Brother, fuck off. The Skeltons are having a fight on the side. We'll let them sort this out, and then we'll start the race.
We actually never do.
Do you not?
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Is that because you've got mutual respect for each other? He
Yeah,
knows
and there's
you're
no
doing the best of
we
your
know.
ability and
At the end of the day, there's confrontation takes time, and we ain't got time.
no.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's no point, and there's no point getting upset by what somebody says, or at the end of the day, I know he wants the best for me, and I know he wants, vice versa. We want the best for each other. So you don't need to, check under the rock, make sure that is everyone still thinking the same. You don't need to do that. You just got to get on with it, and behind the scenes, you're just trying to give each other confidence, and you're just trying to predict what some of the opposition might do. But ultimately, like I said at the start, like when you let go of that horse and it goes out onto the race course, that's it. I can't do any more, the owner can't do any more, the staff can't do any more. You then entrust in your jockey to then go and that's a massive amount
as well.
Yeah, but that's a massive amount of expectation upon their shoulders because there are times when the horses run and they win and they're expected to win, in which case the jockey's carried out the job that 99% of jockeys should do, which is win on a horse that was most likely to win. There are times when a jockey performs a miracle and wins on one that shouldn't win, and in that event, isn't that great? They don't really get the praise that they deserve at that point. Or sometimes it might be very
put it down to a fluke of the horse.
Yeah, sometimes it might be very, very subtle, and people can't notice that there was a big race winning decision or something happened that jockey did. But then, of course, as we all know, horse gets beat that should win, the jockey comes in for it, and that's where I think all industries have a big problem, because there are too many outspoken individuals who know not enough about what they're talking about,
But think they know it all.
and cause distress and cause hurt. And I'm actually not on social medias because I don't want to know how terrible I am when I know I've done badly, and I don't need the praise of when I'm good, because I know most of the time it's vacuous.
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing to do, and I think, I can't call myself a sports person. I'm not a sports person. At best, I'm a sports manager. But the jockeys are definitely sports people.
Yeah.
Sportsmen and women. And the flack they come in for is disgraceful.
Is it really?
Yeah.
On social media?
Yeah.
Generally, people have probably bet on them.
Yeah,
or
bet
something
lost
like
a
that.
massive
Exactly.
amount of money.
A massive amount. It could be a fiver.
Yeah.
But they want to go. They want to get angry behind a screen
It's just
name.
a platform now, isn't it?
Jockey Hater 27 wants to call you every name under the sun.
Great. Clues in the name.
Great
there.
lad.
See, I would have been a
lovely
jockey
lad.
had that not been the case.
Yeah.
You did have many offers. You had many offers.
Plenty, no. There's a lot of variables as well with jump racing, isn't there? There's so many things that can go wrong. Whether it be the jumps, positioning in the race, the ground. There's just thousands of things that can actually go potentially wrong.
Yeah.
I would have said. Not.
But having
there is.
No,
but
yeah,
it's life though. We all have our own
I
jobs
guess
or
that's just
businesses. You
the
wake
game
up in the
you're
morning.
It's no different to you running a shoot day, isn't it? People have paid the money, and you go, "Oh, there's a howling gale this way." It's your job to make sure you still line the guns to make sure.
Completely wrong, like normal. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's normally a great
Or like
drive.
me, you put them on the wrong drive. So, another story.
We've already had that on the
We've
pod.
already had that on the pod.
I asked you before at lunch, how do you choose which horse runs which race? And you stopped me and said, we'll save it for the pod. So I'm eager to know, how do you choose what horse is running the Gold Cup, for example?
Oh well, Gold Cup's easy. That's down to ability. You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. Not that horses that aren't Gold Cup standard are sow's ears, of course not. But that's the elite level.
Yeah.
You can't fluke that. You can't pretend that you're that level. You find out. So there's no point even entertaining enter a horse in a race as good as that unless it's at the elite level, and you can find that out through results. But
So not the Gold Cup then, other races.
so you got to going back a step from all that. You just the first thing you got to look at is the distance.
Yeah.
So there's no point running a horse that wants 3 miles, run it over 2, and there's certainly no point running a 2 miler over 3. Then you've got to look, does the horse prefer to go left-handed or right-handed? Now, in England, in the UK, Ireland, we're blessed with a whole plethora of race courses that all have unique or individual traits to them. They could be, like I say, either-handed. They could be undulating. They could be flat. There's all sorts of different tracks out there. And some horses suit particular tracks more than others.
Yeah.
So you take that into consideration, and then probably as important as any of them is the ground. A horse that wants good ground, going and running round when they've had 30 mil of rain overnight, is not going to be a productive day out.
And I take it you don't know what other horses are racing before you enter your horse.
You don't know. Well, you can. Nowadays, when we enter and declare, there's a system that's run by Weatherby's that you can see who's entering and you can see who's declaring.
Right.
So you've
got a rough idea.
You get a fair idea,
But
but
going
you
back
can't
to
pick your opposition. Don't forget.
No, of course.
But going back to finding out what that horse is going to be good at, does that all come off the gallops? Do you actually have to do you enter in a race that's a 3 miler and you realise that it's knackered after 2, for example?
Yeah.
I mean, or not quite.
So you go on breeding,
Yeah.
and then the younger the horse, probably the shorter distance you start it over.
Yeah.
So in jumps racing, we've got a few races that are just over 1.5 miles for 3-year-olds on the flat, which are called bumpers.
Yeah.
But then everything that's over hurdles is 2 miles is the minimum.
Yeah.
So you would start at 2 miles and work up, but the way the horse is bred would give you an idea. And there is a certain element of what different traits it would show you at home. But all I can tell you is if you go off homework, that is the biggest mistake you can ever make,
Right.
because horses at home are not like they are on the track.
Really?
Is that due to adrenaline?
Adrenaline, I would say, is probably the biggest makeup of all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What,
And
the
is it-
adrenaline, they're too
When they get to
excited,
the
so
track.
it drains them almost. So
Yeah,
they,
the
No, when they
crowd.
get
The
to the
opposite.
track, they grow.
they grow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And don't forget, they've been bred for generations to go to a race course and perform.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they train at home and everything else, but you're only getting them fit. Where they actually belong is on the race course. And you can't ever forget that. And that's where you find out the truth.
And having spoken to Grace quite a little bit, you've now gone into breeding. That's been a little bit of a newer entity for you, but that's a fairly big system now. Speaking to Grace at Cheltenham, I think you had an awful lot of mares to come in to foal, and you're standing a couple of stallions as well, I think, aren't you?
Grace, my wife, she's running the stud, and that's gone from strength to strength. And British breeding, it has to be said, British national hunt breeding has lagged behind Ireland and France in to my mind, way too much. I don't think there's any difference in how we can rear a horse. I think we've got the finances to do it. I think we've just got to prove that we can a bit more. So we went into the stud world. We started our own stud. We've got 40 of our own brood mares now. There's 4 stallions standing there, and it's been very productive. And we've had visitors. Visiting mares coming and using the stallions. We've had some people boarding the mares with us full time. And I suppose my original thought for creating it was consistency through the racehorse's life, especially the mares. So we were going out, and historically we've done quite well with the mares at the track. So an owner buys a fantastically bred mare, it races, it runs really well, it wins, it might win some big races. Comes to the end of its racing career, you send it to sales. Most likely that horse gets bought to go to an Irish stud.
Yeah.
You then go and try and buy its progeny 4 years later, and you've created this mare, you've created the value. Okay, the new owners put the stallion into it and made the young horse, but that young horse might go and be a fortune to buy. It might be a price that owner who sold the horse was never ever going to spend on another horse. And that's obviously market value. But what is possible is that owner could keep that mare and breed themselves.
Yeah.
And what you are creating then is unit value. So that foal, or that horse that then goes on to be 3 years old and is sold at an auction, its unit cost maybe £25,000, but its market value is 100, and the owner needs to go and buy it back for 100 when they could have perhaps created it for 25.
Wow.
Now, of course, there's risks involved with breeding. There's an old saying that you buy what you want, you get what you breed. But over a lifetime, if you are keeping those best mares and breeding from them, it will come through. So we've created that environment where the owners don't have to sell those mares.
Right.
And is that a profitable business? Have you done the breeding as a business, or have you done it?
It's commercial.
Yeah.
And it's not making any money yet. But,
No.
there's a lot of stock. We've worked hard to get it off the ground and promote it and get it going forward and show that, there's horses there and there's good horses there, and we've sold a few, and you just got to keep the wheel turning. You, like any new business, it will succeed or fail, I feel, in the first years of it through belief.
Yeah.
You've got to hold on. There's times when you go, God, why are we doing this?
And is that a risk if you were to sell a horse off your yard that you've bred that then goes on to beat you at the Gold Cup? That must be heartbreaking if that was, you know what I mean? If that happened to you later on down the line.
I think so, yeah, but it hasn't happened yet.
No. Can you imagine?
We'll address that when it happens.
But that's it. That's
podcast part 2 with Dan Skelton.
Why
did you not keep that horse? That one.
Yeah.
That's you can only do the best deal you can do on the day, though.
Yeah.
And
what
if you're commercial, you're commercial.
A top-looking mare it's got everything going for it. What sort of money are people paying for that?
Well, there's been mares sort of 2-3 years ago that have been sold for £300,000-400,000 to go breeding, just jumps mares. I mean, the flat mares make
massive money.
10 times that.
Yeah.
But that's totally different. Yeah.
It's a few quid, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a totally different world, the flat, though. But national hunt horses now, there's sales most weeks, or definitely every fortnight anyway, be it online or in-person auctions, that there's horses making 200,000-300,000 every week.
How often are you buying for owners?
All the time.
All the time?
All the time, always looking.
Yeah.
Always looking. The point-to-point season runs from October through to sort of May time. So they'll be producing a lot of young horses, England and Ireland, so you're always looking there. The French run nearly 12 months of the year. They're a bit quieter through July and August. There's a lot of horses come over from France. And then, of course, there's the flat, which I think now we're buying less horses off the flat than we ever have done.
Right.
As an industry. As a jump, the whole jumps industry, we're probably buying less off the flat than we ever have. It used to be that, the ones that were a little bit slow for flat racing would go jumping. Whereas now there's the opportunity to run them on the all-weather. There's more and more all-weather fixtures in the winter, so people are holding on to the horses more. And there's the international markets that are snapping up the really good stayers that might go jumping. They're going off to Australia, or Japan's an emerging. Well, it's not an emerging market. It's well emerged and well established, and they're looking to buy all the time, and Hong Kong as well. So the jumps, the jumps owners are having to compete and sometimes not be able to afford those horses that would have years ago gone jumping.
And what about, and if there's one thing that, there's a pinnacle in all our sports, I suppose, but is there something that you would just love to win? I mean, is it, of course it's going to be the Gold Cup, or is it the National? I don't know.
You've already won the Gold Cup, though, haven't you?
No.
Have you not?
No.
God.
No.
Right.
Good to see you did your research.
Thanks for doing your research.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
Charlie's going to get sacked.
Yeah.
2016, he said.
Yeah.
No.
That was all that.
Trainers champion next year.
Cheltenham Festival.
I did.
That's
we won at
getting
the
edited
festival,
out.
yeah.
But Dan, is that? Come on.
That's getting completely edited out.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, no, it's not getting edited out.
Cheltenham Festival, yeah?
Yeah, we've had winners at Cheltenham Festival. Yeah.
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 Okay, yeah, I'll let you off.
But come on,
Not the Gold Cup.
Not
Sorry.
the Gold Cup, but back to is it the Gold Cup? Is it the National? Are they're the two we all would immediately think of?
And
Is
they
that
are the two. They are the two.
and
being-
to do the double.
Being
is that,
greedy, I want to win both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet.
But when I worked
But
for Paul
winning
Nichols,
4. Sorry to interrupt, but winning 4 at the festival, that's unbelievably good. I mean, that's not. A lot of people. I mean, what's been the most amount a trainer's won at
I think
one
Willie
festival?
Mullins won 10 last year, maybe.
Right. But that's like the biggest number ever.
I'd say
4's still right up there, isn't it?
I'd say after Willie, I'd say Gordon Elliott's maybe won 6 there.
Right.
Nicky might have won 6 or 7. There might have been a year Paul won 6 or 7, but
Yeah, so it's right up there.
right behind them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just all came together on that day.
Amazing.
Yeah. But you're talking about the Grand National and the Gold Cup, and when I worked for Paul Nichols, we'd won the Gold Cup a couple of times, and we'd had a lot of really good horses, multiple festival winners, and we thought we'd seen it all. The press were basically camped outside the yard. When the days of Kedo Star and Denman and Masterminded and Big Bucks and all these greats of the jumping game, we just thought that this was normal. It became normal that everyone wanted to talk about them all the time. And then a horse called Neptune Colonge, who was a grey horse, won the Grand National, and it just took to a different level.
Yeah.
Just the public adoration of the horse that wins the Grand National is way beyond anything that, as insiders, we see the championship races at Cheltenham and the King George as the sort of the 5 biggest races of the year.
But yeah, the National
But
gets
then,
the
but
nation.
the people. So if you walked into a pub and you said you're a racehorse trainer, or you said you're a jockey, I'd say the first thing anyone would ask you is, did you win the Grand National?
Yeah.
But as an amateur spectator watching it, there looks to be so much luck to winning the Grand National. Is that?
Luck.
Yeah.
Less now.
Is there?
Yeah, I mean, look at this year's winner, Iron Maximus. I mean, he didn't look lucky. He absolutely scooted home. There was.
He wasn't
Felt-
favourite though, was he?
Yeah, he was.
But I'm just talking about
Was he?
the
I think he
size of
did,
the
yeah.
jumps, horses falling, getting.
Yeah, there's always an element of luck in any
Yeah.
race. And yes, the element of luck in the Grand National is more than any other race. But it's the luck element has been reduced massively over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And even more so over the last 5.
Right.
Because nowadays the jumps are smaller, and
Yeah.
the way the start is closer to the first. The distance has been reduced by getting on for 3 furlongs.
Yeah.
It's
all
That's
gonna make a
another thing about
difference,
the Grand National. It brings a lot of publicity in terms of who's won it. It also
Yeah.
brings a lot of bad publicity, a little bit, to the racing world. What have you got to say
All
about
right.
that? Because
Well-
like shooting again, under constantly bad scrutiny. And so,
hey, look,
so
at the end of the
racing.
day, when you go shooting, you can't get away from the fact that, animals go up in the sky and the idea is to aim at them. And when you go racing, there is unfortunately now and again a horse that doesn't survive.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really, really hard thing to defend and talk about, and it's not easy. And by the way, neither should it be easy.
No.
We shouldn't sit here going, actually, we've got the perfect argument for all of this.
Yeah.
We haven't. But what we do have is we have years and years of conservation, of historical know-how, and of just the element of being able to interact with the countryside, the horses, the animals. We've created industries as well, which shouldn't be overlooked. And what I think people that look in and see the bad elements of these industries, they've no interest in looking at the good side.
No.
And it's hard. It's hard because if
It's
someone
the
said
exact same as shooting, isn't it?
yeah, if someone said to me, "What's the hardest part of your job?" Injuries. Injuries and ultimately the deaths that can occur. It will never ever become normal to me that's okay and that's to be expected, and it absolutely breaks my heart.
Heartbroken.
It breaks
must
my
be
heart. It's horrible.
heartbreaking.
It's horrible, and you might say, "Well, how do you get up and do it the next day?" The truth is, I don't know.
No.
But you just do, because there's 100 others that need feeding and looking after, and there's a set of owners that weren't affected. It wasn't their horse, or there was a stable person who looked after that horse that has a runner today. That
I mean, let's be honest. It's the minority that
Oh,
horse
massively.
racing, in my
It's
view,
tiny.
as an outsider, has never been as popular. Horse racing, everyone's on about it. The Cheltenham week this week, everybody I knew was talking about it. And
it
look
has
at the
so
crowd.
many goods. It has so many goods. Just like shooting, it has so many good parts.
Yeah.
You go shooting, and everyone's there, like enjoying
To
the
have a good
company.
time. Yeah.
There's dogs running around, beautifully trained, beautifully bred dogs, and the beat teams going through with smiles on their faces and giving jobs to people who might not otherwise have those jobs in rural areas. And we're no different in racing.
No, it's exactly. The similarities are unbelievable.
Yeah,
to be
we've
honest.
got members of staff who wouldn't have the greatest exam results in the world,
Yeah.
but are unbelievably skilled.
Yeah.
Skilled beyond somebody who's got a dozen letters after their name,
Yeah.
achieved at university through 6 years of graft.
Yeah.
And that's not. I'm not talking them down, of course not. But different skill sets for different people, and I think we've all got to be a little bit more appreciative of what we do in each sector, and that the similarities, like you say, are very, very alike. But we'll never be able to calm the storm via the naysayers and the dissenters. We'll never be able to do that, and all we can do is keep doing the very best we can, maintain the highest standards that we can, and ultimately, you've got to keep in check.
It's fine. I'll grab it.
It's going to rain, Crofty.
Keep that sun off the bald patch, Crofty.
But also, that when you get your horses to the racecourse, they love it too, don't they? They like you say, they stand strong. They're ready to do it. They're elite athletes like myself.
Yeah, that's what they're bred to do, and you can
That's
see
what I
that
say.
in them. Yeah,
When
if
you go to the
know
race
if you
course,
know
you
an
asked me
animal-
earlier on,
Yeah.
how do you find out how good they are? When they go to the race
Their
course,
eyes light up.
Yeah.
on they come,
Yeah.
and they know they're there, and they love it. They love
Yeah.
it. They, make no mistakes. That's what they want to do.
You can see that when they're going around the owner's area before the race. When
Exactly.
they're putting it on, that's when you're sticking your bet on, going, he looks up for it.
We'll have to come up. We'll come up, Dan, and come and have a look. I'd love to see him training one morning.
No
or
problem.
something like that.
Yeah, I'd love
That'd be
to as well.
Yeah,
fantastic.
no problem.
Thank
How
you
many
very
horses
much.
are at home?
We've probably always got about 140, 50 to run from October through to the end of the season,
Jeez.
end of April. Then there's a few less in the summer.
So that's another thing as well. The diet of these top horses. I mean, you're not just feeding it any old hay that Crofty can get you from on a wagon, are you? What are they on? Bermuda grass.
Yeah. We
Then Red Bull and
yeah, exactly. We feed them it's a processed nut. It's an all-in-one feed, effectively, like you'd feed your dog,
Yeah.
a dried food. It's an all-in-one nut that contains all the vitamins, nutrients, and energy that a horse needs to get through its day.
Well,
It's a
fed twice a day?
3 times.
3 times a day.
Yeah.
No hay.
Yeah, they get haylage.
Yeah,
Yeah, we give them a lot of hay. Hay is roughage. You know, that a horse's body needs roughage. It's, you know, you can try and intensively feed them and everything else, but at the end of the day, they will not run efficiently. And a horse's body system, for those of for people watching that know horses, they'll know that they're prone to colics and all these different things. That if you don't look after them, you will get in an instant. A horse is so delicate.
And especially, I mean, yours are prime athletes, aren't they?
They are.
So they're probably like more delicate than anything.
They are, but they thrive on consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah. A horse.
What bedding are you using now?
Shavings.
Shavings. You're on shaving.
Yeah.
Because paper was a thing at one point, wasn't it?
We probably have half a dozen horses on paper that would show allergic, not reactions, but allergic responses to maybe some dust. Yeah. And if you bed them on straw, they'll eat it and they get fat.
Do you sleep on straw, mate?
Yes, I do. It's not my podcast. I'm just listening, all right?
Uh,
And how many staff have you got to look after 140 or so horses?
I think we've 52 members of staff.
Jeez. It's a big number, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
It's almost one for every 3 horses.
Yeah, but then you've got to take into consideration that there's office staff and
Yeah, okay.
there's lots of different elements of it. But the staff would look after 5 or 6 horses each.
Well,
Yeah.
Do you have to check every batch of haylage that come into the yard? Do you have someone sample it to make sure it's the right quality, or you're not that?
If you've always got high quality, the horses won't eat the junk.
Really? So they just leave it?
They'll stop eating it if it's not any good.
You rebed and send it back.
Yeah.
If they're always on something, they'll keep eating it. But
yeah.
You make sure you start your season on good stuff. But the best way to analyze it is literally look at it.
Yeah.
If it looks good, it normally is.
Finish your lunch today because it wasn't quite there.
I can tell you this now: if I don't finish my lunch, we've got a big
Our
problem.
catering has a serious
Yeah,
problem.
do not ring the doctor, ring the coroner.
Yeah. Well, listen, mate, thank you very much indeed. That's been brilliant, hasn't
It
it?
has been brilliant. Let's just finish on this. What has been the pinnacle of your career so far?
That duck.
No, in all sense, come on.
Those four winners at Cheltenham this year was remarkable.
Yeah.
Absolutely remarkable. But I get to compete all the time. A lot of people, you leave school and you're not in the rugby team anymore. You're not in the cricket team. You might individual sports. You might not be into tennis or whatever, and you're not very good at golf. And the ability to win at something disappears. A lot of people, when they leave school, their ability to be on a winning team is gone. I get to do that nearly every day, and it's fantastic. I just love competing, and I've had so many great days, outside of Cheltenham as much as anywhere. To be honest, Cheltenham's its own unique, experience, but it's just a pleasure to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little winner will mean more than a big one for different reasons, but it was good to go to Cheltenham and do that, because I suppose everyone's looking, aren't they?
Yeah, they've renamed it Skeltenham apparently.
The Skelton from the week.
We've got a bit to go yet before.
brother said.
Before it's officially, I think we've got a while to go.
Speaking of your brother, I hope he's earning me a few quid right now. I've got an each way bet on him at Kelso.
I think you got caught with an hour yet.
Oh, nice. I've been tipped off the maestro, so.
I'm not a tipster, I can assure you.
No, I know. Brilliant. Thanks very much for coming on, Dan.
That's all right.
Really good to catch up.
No worries.
That's definitely been interesting, I'm sure. Perfect. If you are watching this on YouTube or Spotify, please like and subscribe. We are doing episodes every Sunday at 1 o'clock. We'll see you next week. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks very much.
Dan. Thanks, Crofty.
everyone. Well done.